Hey, Mike here with Mike's Bags. Today I'm reviewing the Venom by Titan Bags. Let's go ahead and jump in and start the design. And this is the standard template design for pretty much all the Titan Bags, right? You've got the Titan Bags logo, you've got the model here, you've got their image of whatever the character is for that bag. The back has the logo on it. Even though it's standard, I like it. They still make it identifiable enough that when you see their bags, you pretty much know right away it's a Titan bag. And it's pretty easy to tell which model it is. So I like it. It's not a design that's gonna make me go, wow, I really gotta have this bag. It's just not. If you're big on designs and you want a cool factor type bag, Titan bags may not be there, but they're also not ugly, right? So I don't have an issue with them. In fact, I like the Venom name. I like the Scorpion logo. I have no issues with this bag at all. These are ACL Pro stamped for 2023 for those that play in ACL events. Material-wise, on the slow side, this Venom has the Surefire slow side material on it. It's a very controllable material. It's a very versatile material. It's a 5-speed material. Now, Titan does put their speed ratings on their bags, and Titan rates this a 3. And my guess is Titan is based out of Georgia. They're a Georgia-based company. Georgia is a very humid climate, and so I'm guessing that in Georgia, this slow side might play like a 3, because we all know this Surefire material, as it starts getting moist and damp from humidity, these bags slow down until they become unplayable. And so maybe in the quote-unquote dry conditions of Georgia, this still plays like a 3 because it's probably still humid even when it's dry there, right? But for most normal dry conditions, this is a 5-speed. The fast side is the Game Changer fast side. It's the same fast side that Surefire uses, so they use the exact same Surefire slow side and fast side. This is really their version of the Surefire. It is an 8-speed. It's a faster 8. Some people call it 8.5, but to me, I call it an 8. So you got a 5.8 on this Venom here. The template wise, this is where it varies from the Surefire. This is a smaller template bag. In fact, this is about as small as you can get and still be ACL stamped. Right? Typically, the bag should be a 6x6 inch square, but they give you a 1/4 inch leeway on either way. That's where you get your small and large templates designs typically. And this is really a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I mean, it's as small as you can go and still be, like I said, within ACL spec. So it's really a small bag. It's not a full bag, even for being small. It's still got quite a bit of flop to it. Like the blend of fill they put in here, they've got enough weight in here without having to add too much fill, so it's not a big puffy full bag, which makes it really nice. I actually like it. I don't mind. Typically, I don't like small bags because they tend to come really big and puffy, unless it's a carpet bag. I don't mind a big puffy carpet bag because the play style I'll do with that. Sometimes I like that puffiness or that bigness. With this bag, actually, I like the fact that it is a little looser. It's not as floppy as the Surefire. So if you like the materials of Surefire, but you don't like the template or the floppiness of that, you want a little bit smaller, fuller version of that, the Venom is your bag. Go check it out. The fill in this bag, it's got a blended fill here of some sort. I'm almost positive it's blended. I played with this for a while trying to figure out what it was, because at first I thought it was a small disc fill, and I don't typically like that small disc fill. But then I started playing around. There's different shapes and sizes in here, so there's definitely a blend in here. But whatever they used, it works really well. It feels great in the hand. It's just the right amount of fill, I think, for this size bag. So again, it's not too big and puffy, but it's not too floppy. It gives it a great hand feel. So all in all, I think the design of the bag, the way they've matched the materials with the fill and the template, it all works. It works really well for this bag. I actually like the way the thought they put into this bag when they designed it. Now, playability on this Surefire slow side is a very versatile material, right? You can run bags in the hole with it. You can play a dirty style game with it. I will say on this version of this type of this version of the Surefire, this smaller template one, it's not a great bag for playing a dirty style game with. Not saying you can't, right? You can slow this down and you can put blockers up there, but typically a small template bag, the idea of a blocker is I want to put a block up there to where my opponent can't see the hole, right? You've got a 6-inch hole and a 6-inch bag, right, sitting there, and if you can get that little V block there, you've got even more than a 6-inch across the diagonal here, and I want to completely block the hole so my opponent can't access the hole. When you get a smaller bag up there, it's hard to do that because if it's not perfect, a little off one way or the other, you leave a corner of the hole open for your opponent and they can get around it easier. And that's where I think if you want to play a dirty style game, I think you want to go with a little bit bigger, at least a medium template, if not a larger template bag. I don't think the small template bag works for that. So where does this work for? Well, this is an awesome bag for getting around bags. I love small template bags if I want to play more of a get around style. And when do I play a get around style? That's when I'm coming against an opponent who I know is going to throw blockers and dirty the board. So if I walk up to a board and there's an opponent who's got a carpet bag in their hand, or I've watched them throw some rounds, realize they just like to throw blockers, they'd like to clog up the board, and like to cause a lot of chaos, then this is an option where I may pull this back. I say, you know what, I'm gonna let them throw the blockers. I'm going to go around it. I'm going to go around the blockers, and I'm going to make them clean up their mess in hopes that eventually they're going to end up penalizing themselves, and then they're going to have to start thinking about not blocking because they're afraid that if they throw a blocker, that they're going to have to clean it up. I'm not cleaning it up for them, and that's where this comes in really well. And this small template bag does an awesome job of getting around, especially when you've got a blocker. You know, you've got a, here's that fly Strix bag, or they throw a carpet bag and they got it sitting right there. I'm going to just take this bag. You know, I don't probably even, I'll go sticky side. I want to throw a cut shot, right? And just cut and kind of cut right into it and just hit and spin right around and go right in the hole. Cut, might even touch it and go right around it and leave that bag there. Whichever way they throw a block, I can come across and cut this way. And this surefire material is awesome for throwing cut shots, right? One of the downsides to this is it has a kick. I've talked about time and time again about the kick for this material, but the kick also lends to it being easier to cut. And if you know how to throw a cut shot and you can manipulate the tilt on your bag, you can really work this bag to work it left to right to left, however you want to get around your opponent's bag. I think there's enough fullness here that I really, for most people, if you're an average to above average rollback thrower, flopper, you can do it. Again, I didn't really try out this bag. I've mentioned something, it's not really my game. It's not something that I feel like I need to do. But if that's what you want and that's what you want to do, I think you can really do that with this bag. The other thing I would say is this is a great airmail bag. Like if you're an airmail type person, so if your opponent throws that blocker out there and maybe you don't want to throw a cut shot, airmail over it. These smaller template bags are awesome for airmails because it's like if you take a basketball and you take just a slightly smaller basketball, it's easier to shoot, right? You've got the same size hoop, but the ball's a little smaller, it's easy to go in. I've got the same size hole, 6-inch hole there, but now instead of a 6-inch bag, I've got a 5 3/4-inch bag. So I've taken a 1/4 inch off. This now becomes easier to hit the hole, right? So I have a little more leeway before it actually hits and wants to lip out and bounce out. Now, the downside to this is, we'll start with airmails, right? It sucks for airmail drags because when you have a small template bag, you don't have a lot of bag that's going to hang in that hole, right? If you get too much bag hanging in the hole, the bag's going to fall on its own. You don't need to drag it. So when there's a bag hanging there, it's usually not much of a corner, and no matter how much you hit that corner, it's just not going to go. Larger template bags, when you have more hanging out there, when you hit it, it's easy to drag. So the downside you get on this is it's an easier bag to airmail by itself, not a great bag to airmail drag. Now that does mean it's easier for you and your opponents have bags around the hole that you can airmail in and leave their bags there and make them still collect their bags. The other downside is this, and I mentioned it time and time again, this surefire slow side, it tends to want to hang on the hole, and it's no exception to this bag. It does want to hang there. I'm not saying it's not hole friendly, not saying it doesn't melt in the hole from time to time. You'll see some of these clips where the bags will kind of spin in and melt in the hole, but it does want to hang out from time to time. And when it does, it's a little tougher to collect. You've got to be a little more aggressive. And with these bags being a little bit smaller, a little fuller, they do have a tendency to want to bunch, and they bunched a couple of times. Now, because they are smaller and they're not really puffy, they're floppy. Even when they bunched, as long as I had another bag to come behind, I could flip over, go slick side, and bunch into them or pop into them, and usually they'd easily fall in. Like they wouldn't just clog the hole and jam the hole. They would just bunch, and then you had to take the next bag to kind of take them in, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So to me, it's not a bag that you're going to play all the time, right? To me, this is a specialty type bag or a game style bag. Like it depends on what your style game. If you're that type of player who doesn't want to throw blocks, but who doesn't really, not much of a roll play bag thrower, you want to be that cut shot. If you can throw cut shots, you can throw airmails. This is phenomenal for those cut shots, phenomenal for those airmails, phenomenal for getting around your opponent's bags and you're just running bags in the hole, and you're making your opponent keep up with you, and you're making them collect their misses or collect their blocks. That's what this bag's for, and that's where you're going to excel, and that's where you're going to win a lot of games if you play that style of game with this bag. So, if that's your style of game, I highly recommend this Venom. I absolutely love that for those situations. There's not a lot of bags I think that fit this template style and play as well as this bag did for me. I really enjoyed throwing it. Availability: Titan bags are pretty much readily available all the time. It's one thing they do, and that they do really well. Titanbags.com, I believe, is the website. I'll put a link in the description just to be sure that's right. And their bags go for like $79.99, so $80 for a set of them, plus shipping. That's on the cheaper end, right? That's really affordable. It's there's not, I think the cheapest they can sell for is $60 for the ACL stamp, so they're $80 plus your shipping. So you're getting them for under $100 to your door, and they ship them out pretty quickly. I mean, I think they ship them out that day, the next day. I mean, they have them in stock, ready to go. They have their own boxes. They come pretty cool, like a little cardboard box that you can turn into a little cardboard cornhole board if you want to, and play a little cardboard cornhole game. They send to you. They do a lot. They do come pre-broke in, is what Titan sends. They are pre-broke in. I will say that when I got them, they still weren't broken well enough to me, but I don't have a problem that like the stiffness was gone, so they were playable. So I like the fact I got the bags, I could start throwing them, and it didn't take long to break them into where I wanted them to be, and I didn't have to use any kind of treatments or soaks or products or anything. I could just, they came loose enough, ready to go, I could throw them and got to them. And that's a service they offer for free. It's not an extra upcharge. You get the pre-broken, I think, for every bag you order from Titan. So that's a plus for them. So all in all, I highly recommend the Venoms. If you like to play that kind of get around style game, go check them out, titanbags.com. Thank you for support and thanks for watching.